I don't even know what screen.
Jimmy is actually driving the bus. This is the first time he's driven the bus in a while. Sue has stuff going on at at the ThemeZoom office, and which is also her house. And we have this going on, so now you can see Jimmy's screen.
What screen do you guys see? The questions?
We see that
No,
giant robot with all of the stuff on your
it's
desktop.
it's a scary
Ah,
screen.
Yeah,
I see. Okay,
yeah.
let me move some
Hey, you
things
guys,
here.
we want to make sure that we got to make sure that you can hear us. Can you please give me a 1 to let us know as we get ramped up? Here we go. Yes, you can hear us.
Testing, one,
Test
two.
it. Okay, that's good. That's good. Hey, Welton, it's good to see you. Pip, good to see you. Don, wow, the room is filling up. Everybody seems to come in at 2 minutes past. They know that we're always slightly late. Oh, that's good. Okay, Janine's good to see you. I don't recognize it. Don Roberts. It's actually, you know what's scary? Is how many of you guys I actually know or have met in person at one of the events. They're OMG or Network Empire. Really, really
I
good to
think
see all
it's
of you.
just awesome.
It is awesome. It is awesome. You're not just a bunch of digital pixels like running up this question screen here. I actually know who you are.
Except for Jazz.
Jazz, I don't know. Jazz, well, yeah.
Yeah, he's a little bit shady. I'm not
Yeah,
so
she
sure.
just lurks. Paul, it's good to see you. Everybody's coming in. Okay, so Jimmy's gonna be manning the questions tonight, so look out. And we're just gonna go ahead and same old what we normally do. I'm gonna try to hit the questions as they come on the written screen. And we're gonna try to focus on the questions that are on the spreadsheet because those were from folks who actually submitted through the proper channels. But don't hesitate to to ask questions here, and I'll grab them as they go by. Remember, no question is too dangerous or too small or too big. We can answer things about SEO style architecture. We can answer things about persuasion architecture. And again, we'll be expressing the Network Empire opinion about a lot of these things. Also, anything about business architecture is fine as well. In other words, Shark Tank kind of stuff. We actually have quite a bit of experience in successful products versus failed products, which is a little bit different than normally what we cover, but just want to let you know that we are available for that. We have students and clients who've actually been on Shark Tank and done interesting things. So any question you guys want, it doesn't have to be limited to Director's Cut. If we deem that it can fit in somewhere, we'll definitely answer it for you. Okay, go ahead. Let's rock and roll.
All right, thanks, Russ. So this first one is, what is your name? My name is Jimmy Kelly. Just kidding. I just want to see how people are doing today. All right, so the first one from Octavio. Hey there, guys. I'm having problems creating RSS feeds for some of my Web 2.0s. I'm using the RSS feed generator that Jimmy showed. One of my Web 2.0s has 3 pages, and for 2 of them I created an RSS feed just fine, but for some reason one of the pages won't work. It shows a blank result. Please help. So, that's a hard one to answer. I mean, sometimes with these third-party platforms, you're going to submit stuff and their server might not take it. It also might be because you might go look at the templates of each page that you have, because some of them it'll take and others won't. Like, for instance, you pick pages or posts and then there's different types, different page templates for each. So I would just go in and check to see if all 3 of them are like that. But that's kind of a hit or miss for third-party platforms.
It is, and again, Octavio, if you want to give us, it's better to give us the exact URL. I know you're probably protecting your niche or something, but on our help desk or something like that, if we can, we'll at least look at it to make sure that it's broken. Okay, you can address that to one of us, generally speaking. But yeah, I mean, the third-party apps for RSS are not always stable.
All right. And then another one from Octavio. How many times will my Web 2.0 pages be published on one feed supercharger? Once I select my frequency/duration, I don't add content to my Web 2.0, so will they be published just once? Sue, do you want to answer this one?
So I think
Go, Sue.
he actually means social explosion. So I'm hoping that what he's saying is that he's put his Web 2.0s through one feed supercharger and into social explosion and selected a frequency and duration. So obviously for that particular frequency and duration, it's going to be whatever it is that you select. And then those Web 2.0s will only be published once. So, so let's say that, let's just take an example. Let's say that you've got a feed coming out of Google, and you've taken that, you've put that into OneFeed Supercharger along with a couple of other feeds. You made a feed, you threw that into Social Explosion. Every time a new entry comes up in Google, it's going to appear on that feed, and that new entry on that feed will get processed by Social Explosion. So each item on each one of those feeds is going to get processed only once, but your feeds continue to get read so long as you've got that an active feed inside a Social Explosion.
Thank you for that, Sue.
My pleasure, Jimmy.
All right, so let's see what this next one's from. I don't know how else to like energize answering questions, you know. So.
Well, it's helpful if you take your clothes off and run all around the room.
Should I turn my camera and do that?
No. Octavia's like, yes.
I don't know which, I can't read where this is, but maybe we'll find it on the next page here. So, I spent a considerable amount of time on your site's figuring, yes, I watched the video Russell pointed us to last week, out all the tools, and I'm finally getting some semblance of how they fit together and what they do, and how I can use them. Does this make any sense as a strategy to get initiated with your tools, considering 1 and 2? 1, keeping in mind I'm just starting out and don't want to jump into a $1,000 per month payment, nor do I even have the quantity of projects to make use of it completely. I've bought into the concept of having a site designed and built properly makes ranking a ton easier. So instead of pushing a rope getting an existing site ranked in its current state, it makes sense to put every new project in Kraken to determine optimal site structure, new site from scratch, or even a new client's existing site.
Okay.
So I can get a 3-day pass and do a handful of projects. Well, I'll just tell you straight up. You want me to read the rest of this, or?
Well, yeah. Read the next paragraph.
All right. I can get a 3-day pass and do a handful of projects, even if don't go the extra step and buy the blueprints or blueprints extra. I can do them by hand based on Kraken info for DWS or purchase later. Is Kraken overkill for a local site? So in combination with your OMG Pro software bundle, that would be everything I need. Kraken 3 days, or am I completely out to lunch with even a basic understanding of your tools? The blueprints mention HTML sites, meta description, title, etc. Does that mean they won't work for WordPress? Domain Web Studio seems like a paint by numbers ranking tool. Is that about right? Add this link right.
Write this article.
I hate how it jumps all the way down.
What's the difference between DWS and blueprinting module? And blueprinting module from over on ThemeZoom shows a price, for example, of $200 for 5 detailed silos. That's 5 detailed. That's 5 silos. So that would be like one site. So we've got bundles that make that a whole lot more affordable. For example, over on Network Empire, we've got a bundle that includes Kraken and an unlimited number of blueprints for $647. But what you were talking about, like just doing your research in Kraken and then taking that data and going to DWS, you can totally do that. So you can come in at $200 and then just dip into Kraken when you need it. How do you feel about Kraken and local markets, Jimmy?
I love it. So typically, I mean, for myself, I'm not just going to stop in one local market. I want to go out and take over multiple local markets at once. And so I like to use Kraken to kind of get the market level keyword research done, because then these sites can also be used to rank national sites down the road. So, but if you're starting out in local, why not just do the due diligence as if you're going to expand as big as you can get right off the bat? Because I hate being in a position where I focused on a specific area for a keyword and then client wants to expand, I have to do more research and more research, and it's just, I like to just get everything done at once so I have what I need to work with and then go from there personally. But what do you think about that, Sue?
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. Ken, I think you got a pretty good handle on how everything fits together, and yeah, I would go for it.
Yeah, and well, that's okay. Good. The bottom line is that, just as a background, I think a lot of folks on this call, Kraken, the story behind Kraken was just, this might, can I do this, Sue?
Sure.
Okay. You just tell me if I'm getting off the mark. So the way that Kraken was created is that it was designed when I came to Sue one day and said, hey, I want to rank for everything, including all the synonyms. And we noticed that, we noticed one day that you won't almost always find one site ranked for the same synonym or a keyword that is the same meaning but a different word across multiple synonyms and words. So we wanted an easy way to come up with a whole bunch of top-level vertical keywords for that, not just a keyword tool. So Kraken is a big tool for really swallowing your market whole and actually ranking for a whole lot of words with the same meaning but might be different words, and across what we call vertical markets. So if you're going to use that, just to help him with his question a little bit, Kraken can be overkill if you only have one or two client projects, but you're going to get a really nice diversity. You could go and dip in with a 3-day pass and play around with it, and you can add your own modifiers. Also, Sue has some good videos on TLKT in the help file area that show how to use TLKT to perform these types of things, which is just very useful to know.
Yeah, I've kind of I've gone back and forth a little bit, and I'll tell you where I am right now in terms of research and keywords in local markets. Okay. With the latest, I don't know, somewhere in the last year, Google came out with an update, and they're looking at the number of searches for a term. And if you've got more inbound links than there are searches, like they look at that ratio, and if it's an unreasonable number of inbound links for a particular term, then they're going to stick you in a filter.
Yeah.
so let's look at the idea of HVAC repair, since I just had my air conditioner work done. If you are a local service provider for HVAC repair and you use a keyword Mesa HVAC or Mesa HVAC repair or something along those lines, then you have to watch your inbound links for that term. So I'm back at this point to taking the locale out of the keywords. Create your blueprint with your national level keywords, and then put your modifier into your site. Like, if you've got have your Google account and specify that your Google account is for a locale, and specify that your website is for a locale, and put your address on the website, and use citations, and do all of that good stuff so that Google knows what your locations are, and that will rank your local modifier for you, right? So then when people go and they type in HVAC, which I just did, right? I typed in HVAC repair, and it brings me up basically a map pack of everybody that's local. And I go and I look at their websites, and they don't have the locale on their websites other than, smatterings here and there. It's not plastered all over their URL strings, is what I'm getting at. So in your URL strings, in the keywords that you're picking to go into your silo structure, you want those national level keywords again. So I've flipped from going into TLKT and putting in the local modifiers, which is what I probably taught 6 months ago, back to just use Kraken and go for it. You're going to find all your high level market terms,
yeah,
which are the ones that you actually want for a locale, because if there's only 20 searches nationwide in a month for a long tail, by the time you go into a locale, I don't care if your locale is Los Angeles, it's going to be a fraction of that 20 searches a month, right? Mm-hmm. So if you go for your national level keywords, you go for the keywords that have got a whole bunch of searches on them, then even when you get into a smaller locale, you're going to have a reasonable number of searches on those keywords. So don't be daunted by what seems to be really competitive terms, because by the time you get them down to local level, they're no longer that competitive.
Right. Got it. So that's a bit of a shift than what we were looking at a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Very, very cool. Sorry, there's some comments here. Okay, we can move on to the next thing.
Okay. It's from EJ. What is the difference between Magic Submitter, Social Explosion, and GSA Search Engine Ranker? Well, I would say with Magic Submitter and GSA, you know, they have the footprints and then go out and create the platforms on and everything. You know, you could certainly go out and create and get some of those social accounts and things, but Social Explosion is just, it's a network comprised of thousands and thousands of accounts that basically will leave no footprint. You're not concerned with IP nonsense. It's just a lot safer way to go unless you're going to pay for a lot of extras tacked on to your GSA. So, you know, certainly we don't have all the platforms that some of those other ones can offer, but, you know, it makes a big difference. If I'm doing social, I'm usually doing it through Social Explosion. The other stuff, you know, GSA, Magic Submitter, things like that, unless you have a quality list, you need to be putting that out on tier 4 and 5, period. Because I've just seen too many people just kill their trust when they start getting closer in if their list of sites that they have just sucks. So
yeah,
that's all there is on that.
Okay, very, very cool.
So let's see, this is from Chris. My client site is very over-optimized for on-page keywords, facelift, like 10 times, etc. for the terms on every page, but not with filled with anchor text. I'm not quite sure I follow that. It is too late to change this or just leave it. Should I use PBNs or should I use DAS to help the site rank? His site is hanging out around page 6 for some terms. So basically with anything you're trying to optimize for, you really want to get your density down to, you have to get it to like 1%. And that's like actual 1% density on page to make it rank. You can go a little bit higher than that, but that's like the golden number that I like to stick to. Beyond that, I like to put in pure diverse, or what you might think of other highly relevant LSI type terms. And I'm assuming everybody knows what I'm saying. Feel free to put it into the question box if you need some clarification on some of the verbiage I'm using. But that's what I like to do. Take that piece of content, and I want to try and rank that content for as many diverse keywords as possible that's all related to the same thing, basically. So if it's in there 10 times, go find other words that mean the same but does not say facelift. Like you might use like facial, or I don't know what else off the top of my head, but something like that. Now, should you use PBNs or DAS? Well, that depends on, if you have PBNs, you really need to be looking and seeing how much trust you have coming through the PBNs. When I think of a PBN, I'm thinking of power. I'm not thinking of trust. Now, there's sometimes you can get some really high quality PBNs where both of those mesh, but those are usually pretty expensive. On the flip side, you have DAS. So generally, when you're looking in the search engine right now, all the things are pointing to authority sites linking to your site. Well, one of the best ways we have to measure this with is the Moz's tool that does DA. And so there's a big correlation that's been done in a study that the more of these high DA properties you have linked to your site, the better off in the SERPs and in your local results you'll be. So you really need to kind of see, if you're targeting a brand new site for your client site or a site you're trying to rank, look at your DA. Is it low? If it's low, do your PBNs have enough trust flow to push that thing up to number 1? If it does not, I like to start with DAS. I usually go with DAS first because I need to build the trust, and then I'll go with PBNs last because that way I need fewer of them, and that'll just give it a little bit of power at the end. So you can use that combination of things, and that'll help it rank. But just think, if you're trying to rank an Amazon page or something, you don't need DAS. DAS is to push trust. It obviously helps push power as well, depending on how you beef those up. But primarily DAS is used to power trust. PBNs are used to punch power. So when you're dealing with something that already has high trust, you're looking for a power move. So hopefully that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So now, this one is from Ken Mitchell. During the April 28th office hours webinar, Jimmy stated that he typically ranks anything local in 3 weeks. Is that using tools and techniques we've already been taught? Can Jimmy outline his protocol and, if required, fill in the gaps? That is DAS. Obviously, the DAS that you guys know, like I tweak and modify mine over time, and it also depends on the properties you use. So as you go through and you learn these methods, like we gave you some platforms in the little mind map that we gave you. What do we call them, Russ? A diagram?
Concept. Concept
yeah,
map.
For the concept map. So you have the concepts and you have how everything needs to fit, but really you should be going out and finding properties that still fit within what you need, but make them highly unique. And you're going to find some great ones out there that really push sites and that other people are not using.
Yeah, it's a key point to add, as I watched Jimmy talk about this in a few different kinds of events, is the distinction between a concept map and a process map. And that distinction is important, especially now that there's about 350 different kinds of domain authority stacking concepts out there that we had nothing to do with. And I'm not saying that to be mean or anything, and I'm not trying to shoot down anybody else's business. I'm just pointing out that you just can't look at a diagram and automatically assume that the processes are there. You have to actually understand the concepts. So we just want to make sure that you're aware that there's a lot of different things out there being, touted as DAS. And unless Jimmy and Sue have taken a look and followed the flow and we actually understand what's being implied by those maps, you won't know for sure if it's actually going to work until you try it at your own risk. So just make sure that you understand the difference between those two.
All right. Yeah, I think that's what we try to teach the Network Empires specifically, and I know I do this with anything that I try to do, is we really want you to actually think. We want you to think for yourselves and be able to take the concepts and be able to grow and expand with it, because anything long-term SEO, if you just do things step by step, it's not going to take you very far. At some point, you'll hit a wall.
Right.
Unless you understand those concepts and can start thinking outside that box, you're going to hit a wall at some point. So it's really important to get the core concepts of what you need down to rank and take them and come up with your own concept maps and really put them to use. And you'll find some things out there that just really rank really quickly. I know on the last call we had somebody say they ranked one of their keywords in a week using DAS, and so that's fantastic. I've heard other people that it takes them 2 months. So it really just kind of depends on what properties you're picking and how you roll that out. So, but we definitely gave you the core concepts of what you need to be able to implement it. Let's see. This is from David Hood. Does the vast majority of value from social signals come from the fact that they are high DA/trustful links? Why, yes, they are. So remember, as you're applying other social signals, this is why we say, yeah, go put Social Explosion on your money site, go put it on other backlinks that you have, PBNs. It's going to help increase that trust flow, and that carries over. The fewer jumps you have from the money site, the more you can push through it. So, yeah, a big part of it comes from that. Another one from David Hood. I suspect that siloing is so powerful largely because of the effect Google looking at what page linked to you and what you link to. Simple conclusion would be, don't link every page to every page like Macy's.com has done. The hair care page links to men's belts and suspenders. This dilutes relevancy. True. I mean, you can have some things that are, hair and belts and suspenders just don't really mesh together. And you're not going to get that kind of lift that you're looking for. The more specific you can get from somebody, or, whether you're going out and trying to get guest blog posting done or your PBNs, the more closer related to your keyword you can get, the better lift you're going to get because it's more specific to what you're trying to rank. And, really over time we've seen Google just has really favored those internal pages, but not to mention, and this is something that Russ and Sue have been doing for, how long has it been, Russ? It's been like since 2000.
Yeah, 2005 and 6 we started.
Yeah, it's even
billions
older
of years.
Yeah, I mean, and before I even came along and met Russ and Sue, I was doing this stuff manually, and then, they showed me the Holy Grail. I was like, it just started saving me 45 minutes of time. I could do what I used to do in 2 minutes now. So, a properly siloed site is going to save you on having to do 80% less PBN links or 80% less DAS links. So you might as well set it up right when you begin, because it's just going to save you time and effort and money down the road. So, soapbox off.
Oh, that's a good one. Can't emphasize that enough. Sometimes it's easy to think about things in the wrong order. Like getting the cart a little bit ahead of the horse. That I think people enjoy backlinking methods, and it's very popular, and they mistake that for the Holy Grail, and it really is on-site thematic relevance that makes all that stuff worthwhile. I know we just keep beating that drum over and over again, but it's amazing how we can beat that drum for a decade and it's still not, still easily missed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just those basics, just getting those down is it's so crucial to the success, especially now. Google really enjoys ranking those internal pages.
Indeed.
So this one is from Theo. He says, "Hi guys, your incredible webbies have slowly, through replication of listening, changed the DNA of my thinking. That is fantastic."
Yay!
That is the goal.
Goal!
And I'm sure within the next short months I'll completely get this stuff. I have the following questions all linked. I hope they help all listeners to understand the concepts you teach. Number 1, am I right in thinking if my top 3 competitors are ranking with very poor anchor text, both not long tail keyword or main keyword, optimized with very poor non-themed, poor trusted links, many, that I can easily outrank these listings with high quality themed links from not even that many themed relevant PBNs and some simple dash clusters? For that question, I would say you are right in that thinking. I'll get into the specifics in a minute. Question number 2, looking at one of the sites, for example, what is ranking in first place for a long tail keyword which does not even have their anchor text on a subpage or their main domain. I noticed they have high DA authority on their root domain linking to that page and only has 12 external non-themed anchor text optimized links. Am I right in thinking that it's the trust and DA from the root domain that is powering the page? You are right in thinking that. So number 3 is looking at the trust flow and DA of Google listing, an indicator of easily you can outrank that search result versus how many number of links they have. True. Finally, I want to rank my brand website for various niche health products, all health related but very diverse, e.g. fat calipers to filtered drinking bottles. Now, would I set up a Kraken to build the right money keywords and set up individual silos for each product using the silo plugin and build out good content pages to rank these keywords? Thanks so much for your webbies are addictive. Well, thank you, Theo. So you're definitely on the right track with every question that you're thinking. So for one, we know that high DA links are what's a driving force right now in Google. So while you shouldn't look at the quantity that people have, the only thing you have to look at is like how much trust are they getting from that quantity of links. If they have like 200 sites from really high trusted sources, you're not going to be able to roll in with 5 trusted links and outrank them. So that's a factor to take in consideration. But certainly by doing all of your keyword research up front, and this is where Kraken and Last Keyword Tool really shine, is they go out and they drill these in real time. It's not like something they're pulling from some other person's database. Like, it's going out, it's drilling, it's finding the fresh keywords and the most relevant LSI as of when you drill to what Google sees as important for that specific keyword. So you should definitely do due diligence. The biggest part of the job is getting the site set up, getting the silo architecture in place, and then really filtering down and getting the right keywords to rank. Because when you do a silo, why go out there and just pick whatever LSI that's related to the keyword. Wouldn't you rather pick the keyword that actually makes money that's related to the keyword you're trying to rank? I mean, it just increases your chance to make more money. So it's absolutely crucial that people do that. And there's a lot of tools out there that it's just a matter of them throwing it in LSI, but they don't really have any way to measure it. So I think I answered most of those questions. But yeah, you can roll in. The other thing is, if you go up against a high DA site, your other one was question of internal links. Yes, your internal links and your external links count as all juice in one bucket. So if you think of water in a bucket, your external and internal all in that same bucket for your website. So certainly if you can't pull the trust from outside your website, you can certainly utilize your internal link juice to help push you on keywords. So, but you're definitely on the right track, Theo. Leo asks, whoops, went a little too far. Jumping around. Okay. When a Web 2.0 social profile is over-optimized, does that hurt the money site? Well, it depends on if they're doing do-follow links to the money site or no-follow links to the money site. Anything that's going to be a no-follow link is not going to penalize or hurt your money site. But, however, let's say it's a do-follow and it got penalized. And let's say you build 30 other sites then also get penalized. Okay, and then let's say you have 10 good links left. If you have the majority of your links, i.e. 30% or under of penalized sites linking your domain, you're going to run into some hot water with Google. They're going to automatically throw that money site into a filter because it shows that you're getting linked to from too many other domains that have been hit with a penalty. So obviously if that many bad domains are linking to you, then you also must be not in good standing, if that makes sense. So I don't worry about it too much. You just want to make sure that it's not going crazy with it. Don't have more than 30% of your links doing that. So number 14, does adding Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest followers add trust or PA to the fan page / Twitter account? Well,
yeah. Well, not in the way they think about it, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly can.
Totally.
Because you're going to be getting that juice flow in through your Twitter page. So, yeah, all of that helps. One of the little dirty tricks I like to do is I go and put my power behind those nice little followers that happen to follow you on these different social platforms, or the page, like think of a backlink page. So if it's a backlink page, what do most SEOs look for? They're going to look for the backlinks that are pointing to that specific page. Well, you could go put it back on some social profiles and still power up all those followers and things that have liked your page or shared it or whatever. That's going to help boost the rankings of that. And plus, most SEOs aren't going to look that far back. Most that I find are lazy. They don't want to see where the power is being hidden. So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely add those. What was it? I think just by linking up your social accounts together, doesn't it get you up to like a 13 DA out the gate, Sue? I think is what we narrowed down recently in that study.
I believe that's what it was, yes.
Pretty sure that's where it ended up being. So, yeah, just taking your main social accounts, linking them together, putting them on your site, linking those to those, do one big hodgepodge link wheel, 13 DA, baby.
Yeah, can I throw in a tip that I'm not supposed to give away about Twyla?
Yeah.
About Twyla, Sue? Can I do that?
No.
You're always.
That's not very fun.
You're always mean to me. Okay.
Sue, go get some coffee real quick.
I'm going to go ahead and give away a tip that, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Does everybody know about Twyla? Did we give that away on any place? Anybody?
No, we have not.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's okay. No, it's Twyla. Twyla is a company started by a husband and wife team, that both of them developers. They've been around for a while, and there's some things about it, but it's just kind of related to what Jimmy was saying. I just like to throw away some cool things in there. Give you an example. What it does is it just turns you do have to have, here's the thing, you do have to have 40 tweets or greater before you utilize the service. You'll find a lot of services that look for high quality or interact with high quality Twitter require that you have some tweets. So the service is called twilight.com. I'm going to go ahead and drop a link into the member base here. I'd appreciate if you guys would just keep it in our community. As we move forward, we'll be, dropping a few tips like this here and there. So I'm going to give you an example of, where's the chat? Give you an example of one of them for one of our accounts. And just as exactly what Jimmy was talking about, I'm going to go ahead and chat to the entire audience. Okay, that's one of the Twilight accounts. Now all you have to do is tie that to your Twitter account, and every time you publish a tweet, it turns it into a website. So you can see that over the course of about a year, this Twilight account is simply made up of the tweets that we have posted through one of our Twitter accounts for the last year or so. Does that make sense? But just do please notice that I have never touched this since the moment that we turned it on, and you can see that the domain authority is 62. Okay, and that's the site, that's the Twilight account. Okay, and there was a point in time where the page authority on this was much higher than it is. But that's pretty easy, to be able to do, and it powers up the tweets. I do have a page authority of 27 on one of the accounts. One of the pages here, which I'll just drop in there. So it's a 2760, and all of that was 100% automated. Does that help you guys out a little bit? Okay, good. No, you're not seeing Twyla because Jimmy has the screen, so I just dropped it in the chat room, you guys. So
yeah, I'll put it up real quick so we can.
Yeah, that's again, folks. I would appreciate. I've talked to the owner of this for a while, and they try to they're running a pretty good quality business, so they really do want high quality Twitter accounts. But if you've got an account in there, it's got 60 tweets. You do have to go through a process of filling out a form now and this and that. But once you're up, you've got a 62 domain authority. Again, the page authority thread that I just sent you right there, 27 PA, that is 100% automated. I haven't touched it in a year. Okay? You guys just keep that to yourself. We were feeling generous today.
I don't know if they're interested in automation, Russ.
No, automation. Nobody wants automation anymore.
Is anybody interested in automation?
Okay. You know what, Sue and I used to joke around, we've been using it for a year, that it's like turning Twitter upside down. Twitter is like the lowest common denominator of the web, and we're like, no, it isn't. You can turn Twitter into a website as well. So there you go. Hey, Jimmy, people are hollering for your red arrow. Jazz was actually complaining that
I am getting that out as we speak because I was like,
yeah.
It's hard to because you can't zoom in on that top bar. So here's his.
Oh, there it is.
The 27 PA that he was talking about just now. Yeah. So that's pretty cool for just setting it up and forgetting about it.
Yeah, I forgot about it until just now, actually. Okay, cool.
Sorry, I muted myself that time when I coughed.
No, you've got people all excited
see.
Now. Jimmy, everybody's excited with the red arrow there. The laser pointer.
It's just all about the red arrow.
It's all about the laser pointer.
All right, so we got Leo again. I found a plugin that helps observe and suppress all tracking cookies called Ghostery. It's for all browser types. Could you confirm that does help to be under the radar?
I can look it up.
I don't know. I think I actually have it installed in one of my browsers, but I can't say that I've turned it on too many times.
Okay. It's kind of an oxymoron, a browser with a thing in it to make
the Ghostery in the browser.
Wait a second.
Yeah, I think I have it on. Let me see.
Oh yeah. I tried this.
What's
so I'm not. It's asking about a Ghostery, so it's a plugin that you put into your browser that helps hide your cookies.
Okay.
Sue, I'll put it to you in Skype so we can look at it later.
We'll have to get back to you on that one, Leo.
Yeah, we don't know.
Answer that one next week because.
But it's a good question. And Sue is kind of our security when Kevin's really into security as well. But I can tell you that Sue, generally, Sue, you correct me on this, you generally turn your nose up at most browser extensions.
Yeah, I wonder how the communication works.
I use them with caution and discretion.
Okay.
They're stealing your cookies and selling them on the back end.
That's right. Give me my cookies back. You stole my cookie when you protected me from myself.
Chocolate chip cookie.
Oh my God. You just know it. Anyway. Guys, stop being so cynical. We're on a live webinar.
Oh, yeah. So this one is, when should I silo? Do I need to have the vSilo plugin to get the credit of a silo? I was just going to manually do it because under my pages I want more pages. I know the vSilo only has 2 layers of pages before it turns into posts. Is it fine to have a silo like this? Site name, services, SEO, state, city. Well, I know you can do bolt-on silos. But true. If it's existing, like if you already have a page on there, I mean, I certainly would do something rather than nothing.
Okay.
If you weren't going to do the bolt-on method or, you know, do it completely with vSilo.
Is everybody familiar with the bolt-on method, Jimmy, or do you want to explain that? What does that mean?
Well, that's just where you can put it in, basically, and do the silo, but it's not going to be part of the existing pages that you already have in it. So
exactly.
Usually it's going to be it might be a conflict on some, but it helps with other keywords that maybe you've gone out and done research.
Yeah, that's a term that I think originally Matt DeCruz was talking about, and this idea that if you've got a full-on site, I've seen Jimmy, I know I've seen Sue do it a lot in situations where we're called for it, where I just wasn't sure if this community was aware of this. If you've got a full-on site, even if it's not perfect, and in fact even if it's total crap, you could actually gain more focus by adding a single silo to the site. So we call that bolt-on silos, and we don't talk about that much in OMG. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that it was available.
The interesting thing is with our new silo plugins, they're easier to create a silo structure out of.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 2 things to consider if you're going to use a bolt-on silo. One is you're going to have to make the path percent category, percent post name, percent. So if your path isn't already like that, then you're going to end up changing the URL string on every single page, and that's sometimes not a cool thing.
Yeah, that can be.
If you've already got rankings. If you're not ranking, then it's not a big deal. Go ahead and do it, and it's awesome.
Right.
And the other thing is, you now have, in the new versions, you've now got the option to be able to add existing pages and posts into your silo structure. So you can actually take your unsiloed site and pull those pages together into a silo. So what I oftentimes do is I've got the page in the silo plugin that shows you what your silo structure looks like, and then over in the other one I'm editing the pages, and I'm in the upper right hand corner I'm actually adding it to the silo. So you can rearrange your entire site relatively painlessly into a silo structure, and that can actually affect your rankings significantly virtually overnight. You just ping everything and tell Google that it should look at your site again, and I've seen your rankings on those sites go up really fast. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and then if you don't want to go ahead.
I will say there is a slight drop when you initially change the pages, but just nobody freak out. It's going to come back stronger than ever.
Ah, yes.
But it takes, it takes a few days for it to kick. But I know some people like to hound their every day checking those rankings. So.
That's true. They're like, oh my God!
At 2 p.m. my site dropped to number whatever.
and then they're on their site removing and adding plugins and doing kinds of things, and by the time they're done, it's just a tangled mess, and nobody knows what happened. So don't do that. Just stop it, Bob Newhart. Stop it. Another thing, Sue.
Just be,
Go.
I was gonna say, a lot of SEO is just being patient. Like a lot of people I know that are really good in SEO, you apply something and you just let it sit for a little bit and see what it does.
Yeah.
Because initially, I've dropped links before and watched stuff drop down 4 pages, and then the next week it's up 2 pages higher than it was before it dropped. And so you just kind of got to just relax and just see what it does. If after 2 weeks I haven't seen positive movement on what I did and it stays at a -1, then I know I need to go back and change what I did. But
gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. When you start messing with site stuff, same kind of thing. You'll see a little bit of a drop, but just give it a few days, and it's going to jump up with all the other keywords that you put in. So,
I'm glad you told me that feature, though, Sue. That's that we can do that now on the new one.
Is that out, Sue? Where can people go to get that?
Oh, that's next week.
Yeah, I'm trying like crazy to remember if the version that we have out right now has that option. If it doesn't, then the ones out next week will have it for sure.
I don't think that current one, unless I missed that feature. That's pretty cool, though, because it was a real disaster on version 1.0 to try to change the site-wide.
It was very difficult,
so
yes.
I'm really glad that we can do that now. That's huge, huge thing to put in the bullet points.
So,
I'm on the way.
Now, all right, so you guys have to wait till next week to get that, but tune in next week and we will be sure that you can get your hands on the new updated one.
And if you order in the next 5 minutes.
At least on cookies.
Exactly.
Yeah, or they can get us cookies.
I
prefer chocolate chip cookies for the record.
And milk and cookies.
So, in this little end part, he's asking about how you set up your permalink structure. Well, so depending on where you're going to be focusing, is how I like to put you want your most important page closer to your root, because then anything else you put under is just going to help strengthen the juice flow to that page. So, you might just be doing a city SEO move. So you might want to it depends on how big and expansive you're going to make the site, but just keep that in mind when you're picking which one of these needs to go where. It's like, where's your focus? Like, where are you trying to draw the traffic from? So if you're trying to go after the city, then, by all means, combine it together. City SEO. Put the state in your title or something. Screw having it in the in the permalink structure. So you want to try and get it as close to possible as you can for what you're actually trying to rank for.
Okay.
So now this one from Ben. I have been using Social Explosion, and it's great, but I've had a lot of trouble with one-feed supercharger.
Okay.
When I create a super feed and then plug the URL into Social Explosion, I don't get any social signal sent to any of the posts that are already contained in the one-feed supercharger feed. Social Explosion only seems to react to posts that are made after the feed is put into Social Explosion. So here's my question. How do I set up Social Explosion to send signals to DAS properties? If I create, say, a Weebly page and a Tumblr site and then put the RSS feed into one-feed supercharger, Social Explosion doesn't pick up the feed. Do we then have to do additional pages to the Weebly and Tumblr to trigger one-feed supercharger and Social Explosion? Would adjusting the settings for one-feed supercharger, blah,
yeah,
to update old posts make a difference? Thanks. You want to answer this one, Sue?
I knew you were going to give me that.
Oh, yeah. I give you all the software stuff.
So what you're experiencing with one-feed supercharger isn't the way that it works. When you put a feed into one-feed supercharger, it reads the whole feed. And what it's going to do is it's going to check any other feed that you might have submitted. And if any of that content is on another previously submitted feed, that particular piece of content won't get published again. So let's say that let's say you put in a feed last week and it had 10 items on it. And now you put in a new feed this week and it also has 10 items on it, but 3 of the items were also on the feed from last week. Those 3 items won't get republished. So the 7 pieces of content that are brand new will get published, and anything else that comes in new, it'll check and see if it's ever been on a feed before, and if it has, then it won't publish it, and if it hasn't, then it will. So the other thing that happens is sometimes...
And tell them why we...
Yeah, tell why you do that, Sue.
Do you want to tell them why we do it that way?
The reason we do that is so that...
credit.
Yeah, so that you don't inadvertently publish social signals to the same piece of content over and over and over again. The only way that Social Explosion knows what it is, because stuff falls off of a feed. Usually a feed has 10 items on it. So Social Explosion archives everything that it receives from you from a feed so that it knows what you've published and what you haven't. So I'm talking to the programmers right now about coming up with a new interface for the plugin so that if something happened and Social Explosion read your content and for some reason decided not to publish it, like maybe you're out of credits or something, then you'll be able to go back in and reschedule that post. Right at the moment you can't do that, but that's a feature. It will come. We've had a lot of requests for it. Give us a minute. It's not a simple change, but we will do it. So the only thing, there's one other thing that I can say that might be going on sometimes, and this is also why we need to update the plugin. Sometimes when you put in a feed and you hit the submit button and the plugin tries to talk to the SAS, but the SAS doesn't acknowledge the plugin, and so the feed doesn't save. And so then it looks like your feed's not publishing, but what happens is Social Explosion doesn't really know about your feed. So if you're having problems and it doesn't seem like your feed is publishing, stick in a help desk ticket. It's really easy for us to log in and check. And when we recreate the new plugin interface, you'll be able to make sure that the feed is actually taken properly. And it'll be flawless, too, at that point. There won't be any questions. But you'll be able to see, you'll get a warm fuzzy back that, oh, yeah, this is up and running. And then a few minutes later, it'll say, yeah, the feed got completely parsed. And you'll be able to see what got published. So all that's coming.
And since you all know what SAS means, I'll repeat it here, software as a service. The second definition is to be snippy or sassy. I'm not sure.
That's not how I was intending.
Oh. I wasn't really sure which version of that.
We're very technical here.
Yeah,
honest.
Extremely. It's technical.
So what Jimmy's really saying is that he hands me all the sassy questions. I get it now.
So this is from David. Hi, first of all, thank you and you and your team for everything you do. Ever since I started learning from your team, I realized I really only know so little. Question, I want to create a couple silo sites, one for lead gen and other for affiliate income purposes. The affiliate website I was planning on including a banner on each page with an affiliate link. I do not have TLKT, but will be building these out manually. I do have 3 of your other products, vCrack and vSilo Social. I watched your training here and the corresponding specific training on your plugins, but recently I just found out about SERPshaker from the Carrie Duke training in website structure section at OMG, but I like vSilo because you get unique YouTube video, content, and comments, and I believe your plugin silo structure is better. But I also like SERPshaker because it can spin content and grab keyword lists with shortcodes. I think this might have a better conversion rate, and now I want to find a way to use vSilo more creatively to get more unique relevant content in addition to the YouTube content. I realize you have advanced training on vSilo, but unfortunately I cannot afford it at the moment. Could you provide one more video for OMG on how to take vSilo to the next step? Or at least tell us here on the webinar which plugins we can use to team up with vSilo to create more unique relevant content. Okay. Once again, I appreciate everything you teach here.
Answer is no. Next question.
I would say, you know, everything that you're looking for, David, is really in Tech Foundation 3. Yeah. Like what you're asking is there.
The tricky part here is that the Carrie Duke training is a little bit different, and we're actually not. I haven't played around with the software, and so I don't really know where you're coming from. If you're asking, like right now, there's about 5 questions I've parsed out of this one question, and when I reduce it to the bottom line is how can I make more money with instant plugins on my blog? That's what I hear you saying. And that's not a question that I'm really going to answer. The way that you make money is to get #1 rankings, but also convert a painkiller, a painkiller product, or get an opt-in and sell the leads. So I see that you're asking several questions here, and to address each and every one would be a challenge. So I would like to pick one here and maybe go with that. Let me see. If you create a PBN post that links to your money site, how many times do you link from that post to your money site? Do you want to answer something like that, Jimmy? Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm sorry, that's the wrong. You're moving around. Okay. See, okay. Are we on question 18? Which one were we looking at? Jimmy. Okay, we can't
hear
you.
Well, you know, it helps if you're not muted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, line 18 is.
Okay,
sorry.
cool. That's all right. So I just want to address, there's a lot of questions that you're asking here. I'm going to sidestep any of your questions about other plugins in here, because there's no way that we can possibly know how they work, whether they conflict with, and the rest. But what I can tell you is that the Silo plugin was designed to help you structure your site better and more effectively for rankings. The video Silo plugin was designed to give you a quick boost by putting some videos on your site. And generally speaking, if you're making a money site or a transaction site, the reason you want those videos on there is it gives you a little bit of kick in the ranking, and you want to replace them with your own videos and call to action and decent content around the topic or painkiller topic with which you're focused on. Okay, so that's the purpose of the Silo plugin. When it comes to other search engine plugins and the rest, I have found that in general, most plugins don't play that nice together. It depends how they're coded. Don't get me started on the WordPress environment and how that works. Okay, the bottom line here is that you're asking essentially how can you, what can you use together? The bottom line is that you're going to need to either be converting leads or converting sales off of your money site. And if you're using our video Silo plugin, you want to get your own content in there. And it's designed to help you get structured properly with the highest money keywords. And what we find is that people are really, for the most part, looking for a quick fix. They just want, one plugin to do it all. Like install this plugin and start shooting money out of your computer, out of the little, hole in your computer. That's not how it works, obviously. You've got to figure out what it is. There's no plugin out there that is going to magically toss converting content into your blog, stick up a buy button, connect a merchant account, select the product that sells, put an opt-in form. By the way, there are technologies that exist like this, and we deal with technology like that, but when this stuff happens, that's worth millions of dollars, okay? So you're not going to buy one and a nice little sweet little plugin that you plug in. That's I'm trying to read between the lines of your question here. So what you got to do is you got to have a strategy that you put together, the best of the best. And that business architecture, that business strategy is going to be specific to what it is that you're doing, okay? Now, that being said, you need to know what it is that you're selling. You have to have something, there has to be a transaction. And either it's going to be a lead transaction, or it's going to be somebody clicking that buy button and purchasing what you have. That's the main thing I want you guys to be aware of. There is still a subtle hint in this question that you're looking for a plugin that also inserts your product and and creates conversion and this and that, and those things don't really exist. Now, that being said, there are several services that you can use that will really increase your likelihood of either grabbing a lead or converting a sale. And again, for me, I use lead pages. I'm just letting you know what I use. I use Aweber and just plain old-fashioned, all the same stuff that you guys have been hearing about for years. Those aren't the things that make the difference. The exception might be whether you have a Facebook opt-in where they snatch the email right off of the Facebook OAuth or these types of things. As you get better, you can use those types of things. But really, you just want to find a way to grab that lead on that page and provide a compelling offer. It's actually really not that complicated, but you'd be surprised how many people spend years figuring out that they have to match the product and the pain to the market and to the offer. And then they're waiting around for a plugin that's going to do that for them. It doesn't exist. Okay, I just want to make sure. And I'm, again, David, I'm not trying to be critical in any way. I'm just saying there's hints here. There's a lot of offerings out there, and I'm by no way and by no means being critical of anything that Carrie's doing or anybody. The main thing is just be aware that at the end of the day, nobody's going to be able to give you a call to action and an opt-in system. And if they do put that all together into one thing, it's going to be a lot of money, and it's not going to be in the form of a plugin. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if you guys understand what I'm really trying to say there. Okay. Now, hey, that being said, push button millions, the closest thing we have to push button millions, you guys, in Network Empire, still require that you have a WR1 or a money site, right? This call to action, our certification level teaches you how to make sure that you have the ultimate money site with the ultimate offering. And of course, at that point, then you can move out to the other layers that Sue ended up calling WR2, and you can make automatic video traffic. We get a ton of traffic automatically every day from now what's becoming dozens of servers that just serve videos. We were joking around in the automatic video traffic site the other day. Sue sent me a video, and we serve out something like 17 million videos per day on one of the plugin things. So we're pushing the forefront of the API so that we know that YouTube is one of the best ways to get video traffic, to get traffic to a site, okay? So we use video. We choose that method because it seems to be the most powerful method in the new engagement web to drive entertained visitors to offers and or bounce them, to your money sites. It's just one of the many, many methods to do that. So if you are looking for push button millions, the way that, first of all, it doesn't exist. You still have to have a high technical level of skill, or at least you have to be willing to learn a little bit. But once you get it, think about that. I mean, Sue and Jimmy and I are sitting here right now, and literally during the course of this webinar, thousands of videos have been published and are bouncing traffic to our buy buttons, right? And I can tell each and every one of you, has the skill to learn what we know on that front. It's going to take a little extra time. But how awesome is it to be able to know that that's possible, to know that you can learn that, and instead of spending time chasing one instant push button millions plugin to the next. They don't exist. But if they did, they would be pushing. I don't do push button millions very often, but when I do, it's video cracking. So that's the one. That's one of the things that I want you guys to know. All right, is that it's not. There's not going to be magic where you turn on this thing and then all of a sudden you're raking in the cash. That's called business brokering. Buy a McDonald's if you want to do that, or a Starbucks, and even then it's getting a little tight right now, okay? But if you want to learn automation, spend a little bit of time looking at the core things. And once you have those things down, once your brain is reformatted and you realize that you've taken away all the crap that doesn't matter, which by the way is 98% of the stuff that you'll ever learn, and reduce it to that 3%, okay? That 3% of actions, the buy button, the automation, the siloing, the content, the compelling offer, the painful product, the pain solving product. Once you have all those together, and get rid of everything that doesn't matter, and you connect it to your bank account, something's gonna shift, and you're gonna wonder where all the money was in the dry years. I learned that from Sue personally. She watched me in the first couple years here working. She rolled her eyes at me every single day for 2 years, okay? Because it was always the next thing, right? And she's a developer, so she just knows what's going on. So I've been through it, and now I watch millions of dollars get earned. So I want you guys to know that this 100,000-foot view from where we're coming from is we're not just tossing this out there and saying, hey, you can't do it. We're saying that, if I'm able to do it, if I'm able to learn this stuff, then you guys can too. So I'm getting down off my soapbox. Hang on. I'll try not to fall. Okay. Did I answer that question, or did I not even answer the question?
I think you answered that question.
Okay.
Another thing, one of the phrases that Russell has coined has been engagement rank, and I know it's something that we've been incorporating more into the DAS latest types of updates that we've been doing, and
totally,
how important that is. I mean, think of people like to watch who just think about your backlinks and things for a minute.
Speak for yourself, Jimmy.
You could get high quality there if you get some real traffic going to it, and you see people sitting on the page and they're watching it. It goes a lot further than somebody sitting there and reading. I would take a video any day over reading text, even if it had pretty pictures on it.
Oh, totally. Any kind of engagement rank. And keep in mind, Jimmy and I'll be talking a lot more about that and a couple other things that we're doing. Engagement rank is anything that acts like a laser pointer for a kitten. You guys know what I mean by that? Have you ever tried to play with your cat with a laser pointer? I have a cat named KK. And every night I go home, I play at least 2 minutes on the laser pointer, and everybody at the house thinks that I'm being mean. But I read in a book that it's good for her brain because she just lazes around all day anyways. So, you know, it activates her brain. But she's totally engaged on that little laser pointer. Engagement rank, and when people go to a YouTube video on your site, they've shown this in various neurocognitive case studies that you literally change your brain state when you're in an entertainment state of mind. Sue and I recently coined this as the rewards of entertainment. It's a kind of sedation in which changes the brain state from one to another. And so when you have these video sites out there, and again, it's not just video sites, but anything that they engage with, video games, chatbots is another thing I've been testing recently, artificial intelligent chatbots. Definitely gets people stopping. Now, here's the good news. Even if it doesn't convert to a sale, you guys, it's going to increase the time on their site. And that is becoming a major factor in the algorithms in the Google patent. Okay, is when if visitors are not leaving and they're hanging around on your site and they're engaging in everything, you're doing something right. And at that point, it doesn't really matter how you're generating the content. You see what I mean? And you know, we'll be talking more about this as we move on, but I think it's an important point here is that you can start looking at these products. That's another thing I wanted to say to David here, Jimmy. Let me just wrap it up by saying this. David, start taking a look at all of your products, whether it be Syrup Shaker or any other toys that, you know, we all test a lot of products, including me. What does it have to do with the human side and the ranking side? Does it integrate engagement rank, and does it incorporate all the technical structure that we talked about? And does it keep the visitors on the site, and does it drive them towards your laser pointer? And the ultimate laser pointer for you in your entire, whether it's an empire of thousands of sites like we have, or a single site that's just trying to sell a ClickBank product, that ultimate laser pointer is your buy button. And if you can't get them there, and you haven't cleared a path to get them there, and it's not obvious and it's not clear, then you won't make any money online. But as soon as you figure out that path on a small scale, what's really, really cool is it's the same path on a very, very large scale.
That's an excellent explanation.
Sweet.
All right, so on the next question, we have one from Noah. Number one, what effects does the title attribute have of a link? Most SEOs seem to ignore it. How do you use it? You guys make me copy and paste stuff into the browser? I mean, come on. No. At least hyperlink it.
I was Sue, actually. She knew you'd be doing. She knew you'd be on today.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is gonna, you know, the title is gonna make a big difference on your, you know, you're giving it more weight by adding in the keywords that you're going after. I mean, same thing would work on any other page that you're gonna link with. I mean, it's more golden if you could get your keyword in there. So, you know, definitely do it. You said no-follow links are not seen as spam. Is that also the case if I got 1 million blog comments, no-follow links to the money site? Well, yeah, those 1 million blog comment links shouldn't hurt your site per se. However, that could potentially lower trust. So you want to keep that in mind when you're looking at that on your site. So I would never actually send 1 million blog comments to my money site if I cared about it. But you could potentially. Number 4, if a domain links to all of my money sites page and posts, say 50 links, wouldn't that be seen as spammy? Domain links to all my money sites pages and posts, say 50 links. But at the same time, that is what you are doing in Facebook, Pinterest, when you're creating social signals, e.g. my Pinterest has a pin to all my pages on my site. Is that bad practice? I disagree with that as being bad practice, because think about, this goes right back to engagement rank. Think about when something goes viral. Is it bad? Like, what happens with your rankings when everybody starts sharing it all over these social platforms and liking it and sharing it and tweeting it? And Google loves that stuff and it eats it up. And you know, you can get away with a lot more spammier link tactics when you combine the two. So, You know, that it's Google wants to stay on top of what's trending, right? Because, you know, they can't be in first place for a search engine if they're not keeping up on what's trending. So, you know, like take Penguin, for instance, like that didn't exist for a long time, but the SEO community went crazy with it.
Right.
When you first typed in Penguin, you couldn't find anything about SEO related. You might see that post down on like page 2 or 3, but over time you type in Penguin now and like the instant search will pop up things like Penguin penalty or Google search algorithm Penguin, blah, blah, blah. You know, so social signals just, even though they're coming from the same site, it's the exception to the rule just because there's engagement type activity going on. Well, unless you're like really manipulating it, but there's usually going to be traffic combined with those social signals that you're getting. So number 5, if you create a PBM post that links to your money site, how many times do you link from that post to your money site? Some people say they should only do it once, while others say you can do 2 through 3 links to different pages on your money site from the same post. I've been mixing it up a bit with 1 link to my money site and 1 to my tier 1 social profile. What is your take on this? So, yeah, I mean, it's fine as long as you're linking to other URLs within your either your money site or other social profiles, you're going to be fine. You know, what I am cautious on, and this is just, you know, part of SEO, you always get those competitors are going to go out there and report one of your backlinks. You know, if they go out and they see something that just looks spammy or whatever, and you got a bunch of links that obviously are trying to juice up specific pages on the site or whatever, and you do that over and over again, you know, even on a manual review, they can ding you on that. Depends on how much work the person does on the spam report. But, you know, as far as an algorithm goes, you should be fine as long as that URL destination that you're pointing to is different. So, and being conservative, like mixing it up how you are, it should be just fine. So, this is from Melanie Alexander. Hi guys, thanks for extending your office hours. Just a few questions. If you are using the manual silo builder, do you have to worry about manually interlinking the pages, or does the plugin take care of it? We have our own digital product. Can we have our video sales letter on every supporting page? If an affiliate is using a website to promote my product and over-optimizes on anchor text, does the vendor suffer any penalties, or does Google see that as an affiliate link and let it go? Well, that's just a handful. You want to answer the top portion of that, Sue? If she's still there. I'm not muted, am I?
No, you're not.
You're not, but I am. You don't have to worry about manually interlinking the pages with our Silo Builder, with any of our Silo plugins. It's going to do it automatically on the menu. If there's one page in your silo that you in particularly want to juice up, that you want to rank more than the others, then I would put a couple of links to that. But typically, I just let it go the way it goes. You typically do that naturally anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, and I'd like to address the maybe with you.
The VSL?
Yeah.
Sure.
If you're talking about every supporting page under the video landing page, I would suggest, in my experience, we have I'd really like to get them some of that information on video website silo architecture. One of the things that I've experienced most successful is the silo landing pages having your sales videos if you're talking about your money site. It is really, really effective, you guys, to do, if you have your main VSL or your persuasion video sales letter, which is your big idea, that goes on your index page. If you don't have subsequent video sales letters that are small variations of that, dealing with the topic within your silos, that's the way that I like to do it when possible. For instance, an example of that would be if I have an index page for a video, like video silo plugin, I would want the big idea about silo architecture to be on the index page. If I've got some subset topics like how to use video silo plugin or silo plugin with DWS or any silo builder software as a service, I would want a subset video, which is still a video sales letter, talking about that on the silo, on the other topic silo landing page. Does that make sense, Melanie? if you can do it. Now, I realize that creating VSLs are time-consuming and expensive. They do take time. And so if you don't have that, it really depends on the situation you're in. You might want to consider your own video player so that you're dealing with, it's nice to have a unique video that's thematically relevant to that if you're using YouTube or something else. All right, so there's different ways you can link back to the main site using the video persuasion. You can have a banner that links to the big idea. Okay, so there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. But just keep in mind that you want your visitor enhanced optimization, VEO, to be the core function, especially when you have a really compelling product or idea. Like, don't get lost in technical mumbo jumbo, and don't even, take what your SEO department says with a grain of salt. Make sure that you don't over optimize, and make sure that you don't totally blow yourself up in SEO. But when given a chance, make sure that it's really, really clear on the site landing page what the product's about, how it relates to the topic, and the SEO content that you have, and then make sure that the call to action and the video access to that video is really, really clear. My recommendation would be to create a unique video on that topic and explain how it relates to your big idea on your index page.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is you definitely want to keep it to one index page and funnel the people over, because depending on how that video sales letter looks, you don't want to get busted for doorway pages.
No, you don't want to doorway.
So another reason to just focus it on one index page. For the third one, if an affiliate is using a website to promote my product and over-optimize anchor text, as a vendor suffer any penalties? Well, if they're doing an affiliate offer, I mean, this really kind of depends on how the affiliate program is set up. I typically don't like people linking to me that's an affiliate unless they're someone that's been around long-term trustworthy. I'd rather give them something to do an iframe with, or let them somehow funnel the information from them over to you. That minimizes the gateway pages, but also helps protect where your index page is. So, and certainly you're not going to get in trouble for doing, the iframe type stuff. So, I would just keep that into mind. I mean, if you have somebody that's very aggressive with anchor text, I would just call them up and say, hey man, you need to do no index, or goodbye. So
exactly.
That's what I would do if I had affiliates under me. Next one is, thank you for all your knowledge. You guys are giving us truly unmatched. What you guys are giving us is truly unmatchable. First question: in lots of cases, a typical local business website is not silo and will have like a home page, about page, contact page, and portfolio page. Can the original Kraken please do his magic by drawing how to do an efficient DAS? Efficient DAS of the type of website mentioned above. Second question: in doing DAS, did you ever got a website penalized because of it, and if yes, what caused the penalty? So, there's been different versions of DAS over time. Certainly you can link to the same page, although you would still want to put other pages on there, because Google just is favoring. I mean, think about this from a perspective. They've shifted to DA, right? So they're looking at the authority of massive websites. Now, the other thing you have to think about is, I have a keyword I want to rank for. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, even though you have a high DA site, doesn't mean that that's really niche specific to that keyword that you're trying to rank for. So this is where siloing shines, is because you can create that enough themed content that you need to actually push the authority, without having to have massive authority. You can have a cluster of them within your website, and that's really what's going to push those keywords that you're looking for. It'll be a lot easier to rank, so you're kind of combating the DA. A lot of the DA sites out there that you see, I mean, you might see them in directories, or I don't know, you see it on Amazon and things like that. They are massive DA sites, but they might not have a lot of pages revolving around the keyword you're trying to rank. So I would definitely do DAS to other inner pages specific for your keyword. Like, I just don't agree with doing, one-page wonders, really. I mean, depends on the competition keyword. It can still be done, but it's so much easier when you have a silo to work with.
You just got me number one for a one-page wonder.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it just depends on, it just depends on that competition and stuff.
I thought you were going to say, yeah, but that's me.
I mean, it can be done, but remember, if you don't
hard.
go to silo, you're going to be doing 80% more links.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
It's just something to keep in mind. It's going to take more work to get that sucker to move.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you can get something penalized with DAS if you're going nuts on your tier 2. I see a lot of people that'll start powering up the pages on Web 2.0s, and they're just leaving footprints across every single tier 1 link that they're building. Well, Google's looking out to tier 3.
Wow.
If you're using the same boosting methods on all the sites, all the tier 1s that link to your money site, Google might not find it right away, but you do it enough and you're gonna get spanked.
Hey Jimmy, Mamado, as I hope I pronounced your name right, is on the call, and he was asking, what if the customer site is already set up that way? So don't take them as a customer. No, I was kidding.
Well, I mean, I would just, you could still use it by sending those links to the homepage, but get in there and put some tags in there. Get some other URL targets on that page somehow. Right.
You got to get in there and do something. But kind of also, seriously, you guys, if a client comes to you and they're not a client yet and they have that, you have to take all that stuff into consideration. I mean, because Jimmy is going to tell you, like, that's hard to do. I'll just tell
I would immediately upsell them to say, hey, we'll do a brand new web design.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a opportunity to get some more money on the contract.
Right.
I would rather go down that route and take a gamble on them signing up for the extra service than if they say no, say, well, it's going to take longer to rank because there's just no content.
Exactly. And that's why, doing a report up front. Oh, wrong webinar, sorry.
So, you just got to take that, SEO, me and Sue were talking about this today, like SEO is the very last thing that you do on a website.
Right.
Well, I would say next to conversion optimization. But I still think it's the very last thing you do, because if you don't have your blueprint, so to say, built out, you don't know your keywords set up, all of that, it's just going to take more work on your SEO front, which is going to take more time and money.
Good point.
Like, I don't want to touch something unless it's ready to go.
Right.
So if they don't have it in place, then I would rather twist their arm to make them get it in place.
Gotcha.
So, let's see. So, and we talked about the penalize. Don't do footprints. Hold on. Sorry, I still got this cough going on.
That's okay. You got everybody
so
riveted. You've got everybody riveted to their seat.
So number 1, DAS question. The properties in the rightmost part of the example diagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc., should these be to the root Facebook profile or Facebook post with a single link, or top of the money site silo primarily for Twitter? Would we link to the Twitter profile or a specific tweet with a link to the top of the silo? You can do all of the above. It just depends on how you want to set it up. And remember, it's not just your Facebook and Twitter. I mean, I utilize a lot of the citations on the back end as well, especially for local businesses. So, just utilize, and, as it's going to where it's going to go, that might be a home page if you only have like a one silo design, or maybe it's going to be your main top silo page that you want to rank, like, because those types of properties have the most DA and the most trust flow. That's why it's on the right hand side, because that makes it also one jump to your money site, so you're maximizing your trust flow. So I would just keep that in mind. So any of them can work. Obviously, if you put them on the page, some of those will do follow links versus a no follow that might be in the tweet itself, but there's ways, on different properties get around that, with either shorteners or utilizing other methods. is it possible that Google Fonts could be used for tracking? If so, any precautions to recommend? Google Fonts. I just don't know. Could they use them for tracking? I'm just not sure I don't know.
No. No.
I think that would just
Absolutely
be
not.
too blanket to be able to be part of the, the algorithm. How many people use the Google Fonts is the question.
Well, that's a plugin now for most themes and separate plugins, so it's widely available at this point. I don't think it would be a footprint at all. And it's not the same kind of thing that would be trackable because it's a call to Google that brings the font back. So it's not associating it with your IP address. No, I think it's too far to worry about.
Okay. So let's see, 23. Is it possible that some indexing services such as link text, instant link indexer, etc., would be harmful if they act as a tier 2, sending links to tier 1? If so, any recommendations for ones to use / stay away from? Yes, I mean, if they're using links to actually get stuff indexed, I would be very cautious about that. Certainly a mass amount of links, talk about footprints again. How many other people are they servicing? How many other websites out there have that type of footprint on tier 2 and tier 3? Those are all things to think of. Plus, if you're sending links to something to get it indexed, I mean, the more links you send, the lower that trust flow is going to go. So, in that sense, that could potentially kill what you're even doing with DAS. So, just things to keep in mind. Specific ones to stay away from, just see how they do their indexing. I certainly would be comfortable with any service that uses, like tweets and pins and things like Social Explosion, to help get things indexed. So just stick around those. Think of how you can utilize traffic and backlinks at the same time. Now I lost my place. Gosh. Okay, from Carl, about auto submission to social site. After having about 40 plus auto posts with backlinks from each of my social sites, I am starting to ask myself, do the first links from my social sites to my money site posts I might still count and give backlinks power? Because in some social profiles you have to scroll all the way down and it's always loading a new page. If it's scrolling down and those are all going to your money site or wherever they're going, I just would drop that. Like, don't post to those ones. Like, ones that do separate pages, I would stick to those. But certainly, I think like we talked about last week, you don't want everything to be straight up syndicated. Like, just don't do that much syndication. You got to put diversity in there. You want to keep your syndication to 30 to 20%, and don't go above that. You need to look outside for other type links to help get your stuff rolling. Let's see, next one from Carl. I also have a maps problem. When I search city plus keyword, my client doesn't appear in the 7-pack, but when I click on the maps SERPs, it is position 4. How can that be that he is in the maps SERPs on position 4, but then the normal Google search is not in the 7-pack, and what can I do to change that? Let me think for a minute. Let's see. I'm trying to think back because I had this happen on someone a while back ago. It's been a long time, though. Thinking back to that, I'm pretty sure it was Penguin related at the time, and I would look at any links that you've sent to any of the actual maps type, like if you went and created custom maps, or if you did it to their maps URL, or any of the about pages from Google properties, I would check into that and see what they're going on. You also want to go and double check and make sure that all your NAP is exactly the same as what you have on there. You could also be dealing with another dupe page, because remember, I've seen this before as a negative SEO tactic. Like, people will go out and register other versions of the business to create mislistings out there, so it lowers the rankings of the maps. But I would definitely go and try to check the backlinks of the actual Google URLs first that are going into that, because that's probably your culprit. I am familiar with new spam score provided by Moz. If so, do you think it is valuable? I haven't looked at the spam score, so I can't speak on that. I don't worry too much about.
Yeah, it's new.
It's their opinion of probably links or something, I assume.
Yeah.
But I mean, go take Traffic Hospital and learn about all of it. Okay, so hello guys. I want to change my website name, so I'm thinking about making a 301 redirect from my old site to my new site. My old site has many low DA backlinks. Now, does a 301 redirect with many backlinks, low DA backlinks, also lower the trust of the new site? Yes, it does. So I think we talked about this a little bit on last week's webinar. Think of it as water in a bucket, and you take your backlinks are the water, and you're taking that bucket with a 301 and pouring it into a new bucket. It still has the same water in it, minus a little bit that's slopped out through the 301. So just think of it that way. So yes, it would lower your trust on the new site as well. Russell, 3 questions related to what you showed us at the start of DC in the ... Number 1, if a website's shown as verified in Google My Biz, V next to URL top section / header area of GMB, is this the same as being verified in or published authorship? Number 2, have tried to verify a GMB page in Google Webmaster Tools, but to no avail. Can you recap the steps, please? Have you a guide to how best to use rich snippets?
Yeah, this question is sort of obsolete since the time we created the Director's Cut videos. Google has toasted the snippets area in which the verified business was there. So we have to create an update, and we have to determine whether they've removed the author the verified author from the snippets altogether. And so I'll have to get back to you on that one, Paul, because they've changed. Change! Squirrel! So that being said, that's my essential answer for now. Now, I believe that the Webmaster Tool version is still able. You really have to make sure that your Google Plus account and your Google Webmaster Tools account are the same Google dashboard. Some people have been having a difficult time because they're not. You have to make sure that it's the same Webmaster Tool. So you could either do, what happens is it would appear as verified publisher on your Google Plus only after you updated that file from Google Webmaster Tools. So you're not going to be able to validate that verification on the snippets report anymore, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check that on for you, but I've had a couple people also contact me, Paul, on this, so I need to update that since Kevin Polly, who is our semanticwebtraining.com expert, notified me of those changes. So you're not going to have that nice little place to go to confirm your verified publisher. The only place you're going to have it is on your Google Plus. So I'll give you an update on that just as soon as I have it. And thanks for the great question.
Hold on. I got to pull something up for the next question.
Sure.
Just give me 1 minute. Somebody answered Paul's question while I go get this one.
Well, we answered Paul's question already, I think.
Paul, line 30.
Okay. All right, I'll get that
the
work.
Next one.
Okay. When using the Google disavow tool, if you disavow a domain sitename.com, would that disavow all the subdomains as well? Thanks. Sue? I could answer it, but
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't believe it does the subdomains, but I could be wrong. We'll let Jimmy.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Let's jump back to Nick's question, and I'll answer that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Nick, I would like some help re-silo structure as it has to do with foreign languages. I'm going to pick up nick.com/seo/English City one day, but I'm currently living abroad where foreign language is spoken, and I would like to know if it is okay to set up nick.com/seo/foreign city in a foreign language and in the same silo, or nick.com/foreign city in a separate silo. In other words, can they coexist okay in the same site, either within the same silo or in two separate silos, or am I better off having two separate sites? Well, that really depends. So the optimal thing, okay, so there's two ways to go about it. You can either do two separate domains, and then if they're money sites, you want to put them in Google Webmaster Tools, and you can focus the region of where that site should be. So for instance, you could take a .com and rank it in Australia or another site if you go and change the geolocation preferences in your Webmaster Tools.
You can actually do that on a subdomain level.
Yeah, so as long as you've registered that, then you're fine. So the other thing you can do is you can do your rel alternate, your href language tags that you can do. So you could go and rank your whatever it is, your English version of your site, and then you can do an alternate version of that page and just specify your language with the destination, and then you can also get rankings for that other version in a different language. So that might give some people some ideas if they want to go abroad. And if you want to learn more on how to do that, then this would be the link that you want to pay attention to. And I will drop this to all in the entire audience. There it is. Okay, so on to Paul O. Hi, when using the Google disavow tool, if you disavow a domain, domain:sitename.com, will that disavow the subdomains as well? Thanks. Yes, it will. So anytime you disavow the entire root, that's anything associated with that root. You can also do it where you're just disavowing the subdomains, but you would do subdomain.sitename.com instead if you just want to disavow that specific subdomain. By default, in the Kemper tools, if you're trying to disavow something that's coming from a subdomain, then it'll put it in as disavow. You know, if you click the domain, it's going to only do the subdomain by default. So if you have a ton from different subdomains on a site that are bad mojo, then you just want to do the whole root. So domain:sitename.com is what I would put in to the disavow tool. Next one is from Riz. I followed Jimmy's Dask cluster setup, converted the pages into XML format, loaded into Social Explosion, and let it rip. I noticed that Social Explosion does not seem to pull text from a Weebly page or even Blogspot when converted to XML. Rather, it keeps repeating the article title. Any danger of this being seen as over-optimization or unnatural in any way? Pure Volume, for example, has minimal content on the profile page, so it's always just pulling a title. Number 2, in the Dask cluster video, Jimmy says that to use exact match when pointing to a social property like Facebook, which has, I don't think I've ever actually put that into the video. Social profile like Facebook, which has a nofollow link to your money site. Is this a good rule of thumb to use for all nofollow type social sites? Number 3, whenever I apply a DAS or a PBN, I notice that my keywords in SERPbook almost always drop 10 spots or more very soon after. Is this just Google weirdness / sandbox? So, number 1, you know, if you're going through, let me see, so you're just doing it to the Dask clusters, and that's the inbound link. So that's why on some of them you want to run them through other generators, because you want to give it an extra hop before it gets to the money site. So, and I think we did something on Delicious like that in the train. Was that in the, crap, that was the Network Empire version. Yeah. So I would just make sure that you're varying up your feeds. I mean, more times than not, if it's from a high DA site, you're going to be fine. Like feeds are a natural thing in the web. So you shouldn't have to worry too much. I would just worry if you're trying to go and syndicate those feeds out onto very low DA crappy sites. So I would just keep that in mind. The other thing you want to be careful of is because if it is linking to the money site with just the title, if you go and backlink that feed URL, you want to be cautious of the types of links that you send to that feed. So for instance, if it's very specific, like let's say we're doing like, I don't know, like San Francisco SEO or something like that as the title, you want to go more broad if you're going to boost that page. Not the page, the RSS feed URL. Let's say you're going to hit that with backlinks. You want to go more broad with your keyword terms or straight up URL or branded for your anchor text to that page. You don't want to keyword string all the way down to the money site. You need to vary it up throughout each level. You can point, if you have a no-follow pointing to your money site, it's not going to hurt your site. You can't do anything to it that's going to penalize the money site, because a no-follow link is basically a get-out-of-jail-free card. It's saying, don't penalize me, don't penalize the site that's linking to me. You're not technically breaking Google's terms of service when you use anything no-follow. So that's why you can basically do anything you want with a no-follow. When I apply DAS or PBN, so typically when you do links, I mean, you'll notice a little bit of a drop, but over time it'll kick back up as you build. So a lot of times Google sees power or sees a link going to a site, and it'll drop it a little bit, and it's going to see what you're going to do with it. So the key is just to stay, slow and steady and stay the course. The only time you want to really freak out is if you see something that drops like 8 pages and then never, if you see it not come up within 2 weeks, then you've done something wrong. You just got spanked.
Oh, no, you didn't.
So let's see. This is from Andy. In the One Feed Supercharger video series, you speak about creating a blend of feeds from one feed and submitting it to a site such as FeedBurner. If you're doing this for a client, would you be putting it through your own FeedBurner account, which is tied to your Google account, or theirs, or set up another account? Thanks. If I was doing it, I usually do on a separate account or one that the person I'm doing the work for owns, because, with that kind of stuff, I try to let any kind of client work that I've ever done, I try to let them try to keep as much as the work that I've done. So I'll send them logins and things like that, unless they screwed me on the payment, and then all bets are off.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Typically, if they play nice, then I will play nice and help pass on that information over to them if they wanted to end the contract for some reason. So I would always either do a new account or utilize one of theirs, but typically I just do a different account on my own and just give it to the client, so that way they're not worried about you having their logins, and you don't have to wait for them to send in the logins and yada yada yada. So line 33, in the DAS stacking method, Jimmy creates a cluster for a website, be it your own or a client. My question is, if you then create a new cluster about for the website around a new theme, you are using new Blogger and Weebly accounts, ones that would not have any relationship to the first cluster. I try to switch. Well, I mean, if you're doing a brand new site and it's not tied to the other one, I mean, I don't worry about it. But however, if it's going to the same money site, you want to pick new properties for each of your clusters. I mean, you want to try and diversify your IPs coming in and give it variety of backlinks that are inbound. So it's just better to pick different types of sites with each cluster that you do. So, variety is the garden of life or something like that, I think is what they say.
You just made that up.
Okay, so let me see. Now I answered that one. Can I use a description in an uploaded YouTube blog post to activate social explosion? That's a good question. I'm going to pass that to you, Sue.
Oh, shoot. I was doing something else. Let me read it. Can I use the description in an uploaded YouTube blog post to activate social explosion? The description. Uploaded YouTube blog post. I have no idea what that means. If you put your YouTube feed through Social Explosion, it will use the description, it'll use the content of the description, if that's what you're asking. Otherwise, I don't know what you mean. If you're on Patrick, please elaborate. There's another question that just magically appeared from Mary.
It's magically delicious. Oh, that's cereal.
I don't know, this might be magically delicious too.
Jimmy, did you eat dinner tonight?
I did. I'm sorry,
Was it cereal?
No, I actually had some chicken quesadillas. They were pretty good.
Okay, awesome. Just making sure.
Bring enough for everybody?
Just making sure.
Don't stop reading, just because I'm copying and pasting.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to, okay. Okay, so hello, I have a potential client that I am about to quote work that will involve using DWS and Kraken. I have no idea what to quote because they have several business categories under one roof. They are a printer. They do customer communications management, fulfillment and mailing, trade show marketing, and digital media production. Sounds like they have a loss of virgin. No, I'm just kidding. Their competitors are both Fortune 500 companies and local niche players. They want to rank for national terms with some of the product lines, have good local volume. My questions are, how do you know how many silos might be in these niches without running the drills? I don't do anything without running a drill, personally. You know, you can always take a best guess, but, I mean, I would seriously bust out Kraken.
Sell it. Sell it, buddy.
Yeah. Number 2, how do you know when to recommend more than one website or main site plus subdomains? Well, it depends on how good their brand is. So I would take a look at, you know, how much traffic are they getting, how well widespread is their brand, and that kind of helps me to decide if I'm going to go subdomain route or if I'm going to go and break it up into different domains. I certainly prefer doing subdomains because that also can help maintain the brand and also help you theme out each part of what their brand's about, and also building DA at the same time, since you know you'll be doing SEO down the road. So, you know, whenever in doubt, I try to keep the subdomains. You know, the only time I question that is the site healthy? Number 3, how do you price gathering the intel for goals, ROI, business rules, or do you just send them a questionnaire? That's a good thing that we were just talking on the call earlier about, Russ. The last webinar. You want to answer that number 4? Or, sorry, number 3?
How do you price together? Well, you have to make it bigger. Okay. So, how do you price gather the intels for goals, ROI, business? When were we talking about this earlier?
Saying with trying to get people going on their keywords and making sure they have a plan. What are their goals for their business?
Oh yeah, this is the earlier webinar today. Sorry, the webinars all blur together.
I know.
Okay. Yes. Here's the challenge that you have with pricing. I'm just going to say it here. Almost everybody that we know in the industry is dealing with clients wrong. No, I'm not going to say that. It depends on what you're selling and how you're selling it, and that opens up a can of worms that I'm happy to get into. It's just not on the Director's Cut or Project B webinar, because if you're selling SEO directly, there's one way to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Please, you guys understand that I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how you're pricing. But if you're going to get into questions like how do you get paid and manage expectations and turn people off when they don't pay you, quite literally just turn off the, don't ever want to be in a position where you've done the work and you don't get paid after you did it and there's no way to turn it off. I mean, anybody who's doing that is a neophyte. You're just starting out. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But we are here to protect you, and we're here to make sure that you start creating pricing structures and systems, regardless of what you're doing, where you either get paid up front, or you don't do any work without making sure that you've been paid, or you can turn it off when the work's done, okay? So to answer that question more succinctly, you're going to need to be talking to your client about what their long-term goals, and you're going to want to manage their expectations up front. And please remember that a lot of clients you will get, and you guys, I'll ask you here in a second, you can give me a 1 if you've had clients like this. Is this a client that you know about? Hi, please build me a website. I want to rank for all of these keywords. And when it's ranked and I'm making money, I'll give you a piece of my business. Give me a 1 if you've ever had clients that have done that for you. Okay, wow, there's a wall of 1s going up. Okay, have you guys ever had you've had people say, they're almost acting like the people, the contestants on Shark Tank. Anybody seen Shark Tank? Any of you guys ever watched Shark Tank? One of our clients was a Shark Tank contestant. Yeah, okay, so can I give you guys the difference between, if you ever have a client that is treating you like you're one of the sharks in Shark Tank, and they're trying to pitch you on their product or service, and in the process of trying to do that, they're basically trying to get free stuff or pay as little as possible, just run. Stop it. Don't even engage. Yeah, Jazz says run screaming into the night, I might add. Well, the thing is that unless you're a really, really big agency, or unless you're somebody that's dealing with $200,000, $300,000 deals or $3 million deals, I mean, Sue won't even look at a deal with that kind of, we'll work for a piece of your business, or when we start making money, our company won't even look at it unless it's millions of dollars, okay? And even then, it's usually more brain damage than it's worth. So what I'm really getting into is that you need to understand that, gosh, can I say this without getting in trouble? You shouldn't do anything, almost anything, without getting paid up front. Okay, so this is what I'm really getting at here, is that if you're going to provide digital marketing reports, for example, using things like Kraken and TLKT, we have customers using our products, just the Kraken report, they're selling between $2,000 and $6,000 up front before they ever do any SEO work. And if you guys haven't got your SEO and or digital marketing business streamlined to the point where you're just making cash before you've even done any hard work, then there's probably something wrong with the way that not wrong, there's probably something suboptimal, that's a more ambiguous word, with the way that you've set up your cash revenue system and the way that you've welded your clients to your hip. And the challenge is that when you have your pricing structure, if you're just schlepping rankings, okay, if you're just selling rankings, then there really isn't, because that all depends on your costs. So if you're providing a product, you've really got to determine what those costs are. If they start getting into things like return on investment and I'll pay you more when I start making more money, generally that sounds like you're probably what we call a pay for performance business. And if those of you who know pay for performance business, that means that you only get paid when you perform. Now there are some people, some organizations and some institutions that are really, really good at doing that. But that's not necessarily something that I would recommend.
Mary's actually talking about the data that you need for DWS to get the keyword decision screen information.
What are you saying? I'm not following you.
So the goals, the ROI, and the business rules, that's all the data that you need for the keyword decision screen in order to get what the ROI is going to be out for the keyword.
Oh, I didn't even see the word. Where does it say DWS in there?
It doesn't. I know, she's talking goals, ROI, and business rules.
Mary, is that true? You're actually talking about our software and not general client engagement?
Yeah, she just said I'm right.
Oh. Well, so I'm going to kick my soapbox way across the room then.
So Mary, like what I typically do, if I'm on a call with somebody and I want to give them an example of the kind of data that they can expect, I'll put in some bogus data, round numbers, so that they can see, they can do the calculations fast in their head and see what it is that you're talking about. And then once they pay me, I'll sit down and talk to them about what their LTV is, how much money they actually make on a sale, and that kind of thing. I don't do that sort of stuff without money. And it's exactly what Russell was talking about. And the one thing that I will mention possibly on that initial call is I'll talk to them, I'll ask them if they know what their LTV is, because quite often business owners don't even know what LTV is. So you can impress them right off the bat by telling them that there's more to a client's value than just the purchase of a single sale.
So I'm sure that most people on this call don't know what LTV is. If you guys know what LTV is, type it in the screen so we can be sure.
Give me a 1 and give me a 2 if
no,
you
just
don't.
type it in. Type in the exact name. What does LTV mean?
We got lots of people who know what it is.
No, it's actually lifetime. Yeah, okay, long term. It's fine. Some people are saying long term. Must be a British thing. Okay.
So,
woo, that's over 15 people. I'm impressed.
So lifetime value of a customer is just, for those that typed it too, is how much that client is worth over their entire lifetime of doing business with you. And so if you've got a product that, or multiple products, and you have repeat sales, then the LTV is going to be more than just a single sale. So we might get Mike Clay on here in a week or two. He's great with some of these questions. And the same thing with how do you price ongoing SEO without knowing what Kraken will yield? I don't. I price an initial investigative report, right? If you want me to do your SEO for you, you're going to give me some money up front. I'm going to do some market analysis. We're going to sit down and talk about the results. And then once I know what the results are, then we can create a campaign that's going to be meaningful. Without that, I've got no clue. Unless I'm going to sit there and do it for you in front of you for free, I've got no idea, and there's no way you're going to get that out of me for free.
Exactly. Just a quick question for you guys. Give me a 1 if you provide free consultations 15 minutes or greater, and 2 if you do not provide anything free. Just help me out so I know a little bit about what's going on in the group here. Okay. All right, looks like it's about half and half. Okay, Paul is saying he provides 5 minutes just to qualify. Okay. All right, good job, guys. Just getting a sense of what you're doing. Okay, all right, cool. That gives me a good idea of where the community is at large. Should we move on to the next question, or?
I think so. The next 2 from Dawn, I think, are for Sue. Well, she would be the best one to answer.
There's an Octavio question there.
I didn't see that one.
I'm chewing my eyes. I'm sorry, guys. I was muted before, honest.
Let's take a look. Seeing if he messed up a gas stack or not. Ooh, let's see. So that's around. So that would have been around. So, we had Mobile Geddon. Ooh. That came out. And
Mobile Geddon, I love it.
Also around that time frame, the Penguin anniversary was also rolling around. So my thoughts are, I think they've squeezed out Penguin at the same time, like they always like to do with updates, and try to, pull one over on people so they don't know which part of the algorithm to look at. However, from what I've seen so far with the Mobile Geddon, sites that were not mobile friendly are, some of them saw massive drops. Other ones, let's say they were mobile friendly, but they might not have been compliant on all the checks that you can do through the Google You can go to Google and see if your site's mobile compliant. So what you need to look at is go and throw your website and go see if it's mobile compliant. If it is, then you need to go and see if you've passed all those checks. So, i.e., I know text size is one of them. The second one is your thumbnail big enough on a phone when somebody clicks on it. Those ones that were mobile compliant but then got a check or two of those wrong, I've seen a drop between 5 and 15 places. So it's been a soft drop for them, but those are what I would look at first. Just an automatic 10 drop isn't anything to worry about as far as like links go. So I would go look at that first, because I've noticed that on other non-mobile friendly websites so far, or at least some that were missing some of the checks on there. So I can let you know more in a week or two once we get done fixing a couple of them. Just want to see what they do with the fix. So, but that definitely fits the time frame of all of that stuff going on. So hopefully that helps. I wouldn't worry too much about the DAS or the social explosion. You want to be looking at the mobile aspect of that site. Because I've even seen some that pass it, but then are still having issues. So.
Interesting.
As in, it's a mobile-friendly site, but for some reason, Google's getting some stuff wrong on there. So.
Right.
That's what I'd look at first. So
Okay.
Let's go back to the questions.
All right, so Don's question, social explosion. If I use the RSS URL option in social explosion account settings page, say for a one-feed supercharge RSS feed, does social explosion still send social signals for the blog's default RSS? So interestingly enough, social explosion doesn't send social signals for your default RSS feed. What it does is it actually sends it right smack from the blog. So every time you hit the post option on your blog, that's what triggers the social explosion thing, not when it shows up on your feed. So the answer to your question is yes. It's still going to send the information from your blog, assuming that you have those options turned on, as well as sending the RSS content to social explosion. So Don's other question is, I would like to be able to have separate social explosion campaigns going on in one social explosion installation. I know one installation of one-feed supercharger can do this, but I'm talking about having more social signals flexibility with one installation of social. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I have a ton of people who want that. So we'll be coming out with an agency version probably toward the end of summer that will allow you to, let me just read the rest of it. One social campaign for money pages, one feed supercharger, one for a tier 1, 2, 3 back page link, one feed supercharger. Yeah, you don't want to mix them all together. So yes, so that's basically different feeds, different options for different feeds. I would look for that somewhere around the end of the summer. What's the easiest way to get new clients, Jimmy?
Well, haven't really had to chase clients too often. Like, I guess I'm out of the mix as far as like what traditional people have to do. Usually I just have people that come to me now. It's not a matter of me chasing after them. They just come.
Hey, guys, give me a 1 if you would be interested in our having a special guest speaker come in to talk to you about ways that you could get new clients. And a 2 if that would just bore you to tears.
There's a wall of ones flying by so fast that it's like a mile
Except
of ones.
Jazz. Jazz is trying to turn away clients. Jazz, you should sell them to other people here. All right. All right, good. We'll have a special guest star somewhere in the next couple of weeks who will help you out with ideas there. Oh, now I got her thinking this is going to be dangerous. Norman, where is the best place to learn about siloing? How would you silo a local SEO agency website? So let me start you with the beginning concept of siloing, Norman. You want to start with your products and services. So in other words, if you're an SEO agency and you do not offer web design should not be a silo on your website. Okay? So you want to look at the products and services that you offer. You want to look at the pain that those products and services solve. And those are the concepts that you want to make your silos out of. So the more pain, the more people are going to want your product. So if you can do a nice job of combining your pains and solutions and all of that together, then you've got a kick-ass website. So I think we have a free section in our members area. Two shakes of a lamb's tail. Let me just go. We just redid our members area, and I found all this stuff. Let me just take a quick look here for a second. Members area. All right, so let me find a couple of videos, and I tell you what, I'll post them on omg.software. I'll post the links over in omg.software. And look for those. I probably won't get to them tonight because I'm really tired and I'm going to probably crash as soon as I get off here. But I'll make a note and I'll get them up there by tomorrow.
Cool. Okay, so, hey, Sue, I just wanted to make you aware of the time. We've got a solid 2 hours in here. Do you want to continue and keep going, or do you want to wrap stuff up?
Well, I think that's the end of the questions, so unless we wanted to do something.
Jimmy, since I know that you're running naked around your room, you still have the camera off? Do you want to do the tutu? Otherwise, I'll have to flip the camera on in my office. And everybody, and you don't want that, I promise. I'm just messing with you guys. So there's a few other questions coming through on the scroll down, but we do have to limit our time to 2 hours. Here's the thing. If you guys can take your, like Carolyn, you just asked a question, and we've got about half a dozen other questions. We have a form that we answer these on. Sue, we have that available, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and drop that in here. I got to remember what I did with it. I have that form somewhere too.
It's also on the omg.software.
Oh yeah, omg.software, the new software extension. That's right. So go there and fill that form out. Go to the very bottom of the page. It's a nice little. Jimmy, can you go there real quick? Go to omg.software so everyone can see that form and show them right where it is. And if they could just put their questions, if you guys can just put your questions right in there, we'll do our darndest to make sure that we get it this upcoming Tuesday. And just right there, okay? And just put that in. And Carolyn, just copy and paste that question in there, because that's a good one. And with that being said, it's just a pleasure hanging out with each and every one of you. And I'm really blown away by your commitment to these calls. We've had less than a 1% people drop off at the end of this, throughout the call, which is really a high retention rate. So that really inspires all three of us to really stay focused and supportive of these questions. And as we get to know what your questions are, we become better at what we do, better teachers. We're mostly geeks, so teaching is a lot of fun, and I've always got room for improvement. So I really appreciate all your questions. With that being said, Jimmy, do you have anything to wrap up with this? Any warning shots? Anything that we need to watch out for? There's a lot of things changing. I know you covered mobile. You've covered Mobilegeddon and all these other things. Anything you want to say before you go?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously I'm keeping an eye on some of the SERPs and the changes going on right now. So
we'll report to everybody should we need to.
I need time to decipher which is which in the, I hate when they roll up Penguin and Panda together. It's just a pain in the butt.
Okay, well that's new. So they're pulling it out together, and we'll keep an eye on that for you guys and report back to Jimmy when Jimmy's ready too. Sue, do you have anything to wrap up? Any words of wisdom? Any whip cracking, anything you want people to be on their minds, be thinking about as a business leader? I know you've taught me a lot about business. You've taken me from, measly distractions to, 6 and 7 figures that we're doing now. So you have something to say on that front, inspiration?
Something that scares you every single day.
That's a really super important point. Did you guys get that? Did you hear what she was saying? She actually does it.
Turn on the camera?
No, don't turn on the camera for me. That would scare you. Dude, turn on your camera. That'll scare you. Okay. But did you guys hear that for real? She's kidding, but it's actually true. And she does that. I mean, she said, do something that scares you every day. Okay, I guess the word scare, challenge would be one thing, but she does things that downright scare her. So
anything worth doing is worth doing to extreme excess.
Yeah, and please don't take that to mean when you are standing on the edge of a building like Limitless, and you fall off and break all of your bones in your body that we told you to do something like that. Okay, so disclaimer. We're not.
Yeah,
saying...
I'm talking about something outside your comfort zone, right?
Yeah.
So like you said about being in business, right? So you are in business and you're making a particular amount of money. And you're doing what it is that you're comfortable doing. And if you want to jump to the next level in your business, you have to stretch beyond your comfort zone. You have to stretch beyond what it is that you're currently doing right now. Mm-hmm. And that either means, going out and talking to a client that you don't think you're ready to take on, or whatever, right?
Yeah,
something
exactly.
that you're not doing now, and it makes you stretch, and like that's actually the stuff that makes life fun.
It really
doing
is.
the same old, like that's like drinking warm tap water, right? Like it's the spice of life comes from facing your challenges and conquering them.
Exactly.
And getting the rewards that come out of that.
And if you think about that, that's 10 years ago. That's actually how I met Sue, is I had taken on a client that was way too big. One of the things that, the details of what she's talking about are sometimes, missed. It's because Biz Filings, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with, my first client ever in the early 2000s, it was because I bit off just a little bit more than I was comfortable with, a little bit more than I can chew, actually a lot. This is, we had 5 million keywords or something. That's actually how I ended up having conversations with Sue and meeting her and coming, you tend to attract a team that's ambitious when you yourself are just slightly more ambitious than you're comfortable doing, and sometimes really a lot more ambitious than you're comfortable doing. So that's just an example of how personal challenges can lead to really practical things. But again, you have to know what to look for. So I want to keep that, as just a little bit of wisdom. I'm not talking down to you guys or even trying to coach you. I'm just saying these are important things. And to close, I would add my personal favorite. My philosophy is less but better. Okay, and if you're gonna, a lot of us, and that means all of us. I'm not talking down or lecturing. All of us need to get rid of something every day. Okay, so everybody on this call, I can tell by the amount of focus and discipline that you have the attention, you have the discipline, you have the interest, and you have the desire. That's really not enough. You also have to have the ability to let go of the things that don't matter and the wisdom to recognize that they don't matter. So if you want to increase your knowledge, you add something every day. If you want to increase your wisdom, you remove something every day. Take a look at your business. This is something we get into day one in our live certification event, and we're going to talk about it more and more. Take a look at your business. One advantage that I've had, and I've learned from Sue, and Jimmy has been doing this with us as well, and other team members, is you got to be willing to destroy your business every day, and that falls back into the comfort zone thing that Sue's talked about. It's kind of subtle. There's a subtle nuance that's hard to pinpoint unless you know her and how it operates, is that we look at our business at least every week and say, okay, what can we get rid of today? What can we get rid of this week? This is no longer serving us. How does this really work? This plan is not really working. And it's because everything is a laser pointer. Sue calls it the bright, shiny object syndrome. A significant amount of the lack of business success is not due to lack of desire, lack of intensity. It's really due, and it's not even really due to lack of focus, because there are a lot of laser pointers and distraction. It's actually also due to lack of focus combined with focusing on the wrong things. What's really, really weird, and you guys will find this out, is there's probably only about 2 or 3 things that you're doing right now every day that get money into your bank account, presuming that you're getting money in your bank account. Okay, and if you're not getting money in your bank account, you need to throw away quite a bit of the things that you're probably doing anyways. All right, so get rid of something every day. It's less but better, and never underestimate the unimportance of damn near everything that you're doing. Okay, just never underestimate that. So that's my word of wisdom for today, and this is something I've learned by working with an awesome team, Sue Bell, Jimmy Kelly, everybody else on our team, Kelly Reynolds. I'd like to also mention Kevin Pauly, Matt DeCruz. We have a really kick-ass team, and all of us together have the courage to look at what we're doing, go for $1 billion, realize there's a ridiculous amount of money out there, and get rid of the things that are not doing anything, and never underestimating the unimportance of damn near everything. And that being said, as we move forward over the next few weeks, we're going to be sharing with you tips and techniques, including, as I shared with some of you, sell reports, up front, and these types of things that Suba talking about. We'll bring these into your space, and you can decide how they might be effective for you. And we'll continue to move forward and giving you the best SEO and digital marketing tactics in the world. And we look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thank you so much, guys, and you have a great week. We'll see you on the inside.